A garden depends on you to grow, and we depend on it, in the kitchen. So there's a relationship there, I think, with a gardener and what he grows, what he or she grows, um, that really is unique to any other relationship I think that you're going to have. They say that if you don't mind eating what's in season, your garden can sustain you, and we have found that to be absolutely true. And we grow everything back here. There's nothing that this garden will not grow. It's just, it likes it back here. It's its own little ecosystem. The banana trees have yielded. We've gotten sweet little bananas. We have oranges and limes up front, but back here is where we do most of our gardening. This is my greenhouse. And John gave it to me for my birthday about 5 years ago, I guess, and it changed everything about the way I garden. One of the things that is really endearing to me about my greenhouse is that I have a lot of my pottery furniture in here. For 13 years, John and I were studio potters. And when we dismantled everything, some of those pieces found their way out here into my greenhouse. So I have the best of my worlds right here in this little greenhouse. It's empty right now, but it is awaiting planting, which will take place next week. And by the time I can plant my garden, which I'm thinking about September 15th, the seeds will be nice and high, and I'll have plants like that ready to go in. And I'm going to plant everything. Out here we have our raised beds, and we started with just a couple of them. We rotate them, they're numbered, because we do rotate the beds, and at least one or two beds during the entire season is at rest, just kind of getting itself rejuvenated, on to the next season, if you will, kind of thing. We have peppers planted over here right now, but this is about as much as you're going to get during this season. It's just pretty hot, peppers and okra. But come the middle of September, we'll be putting in the fall garden, and that's when it really gets interesting. I like the hay. I like hay in the garden. Everybody likes the hay. The soil loves it. It nourishes the soil, and it keeps it nice and clean for me. And the cats, they build forts, lay in wait for one another, so everybody's happy. The garden is actually a mix of vegetables and flowers, and last year is the first year that I planted coneflower or echinacea. And I'm usually pretty tidy in my garden. Keep things deadheaded, that kind of thing going on, but for some reason I left it, just like you see it now. I left it after it had bloomed. I let it go to seed, and one day I was sitting on the deck. It was early in the morning, and I glanced up, and there were at least a half a dozen little bitty birds that had landed on this plant, and by the time they left, they had eaten every seed off of this plant. So I told John I'll never cut back another coneflower again. It's food in the garden for the little birds, and I like that. This is our compost bin. John and I come from farmers, but honestly, so much of it has just been learn as you go. And this is an example of that. When we first built it, we had a nice little roof on it. But we really couldn't get any compost out of it, no matter what we did. And we had a storm come through, and it blew the roof off of the compost bin. And ever since then, we have had the best compost. So it takes rain. It takes rain to make good soil. And that's what finally happened whenever we got the roof off of here. This feeds the entire garden. We'll sift it, and then we'll apply it to the beds, and everybody loves it. This is just a little nursery I have. I have a lot of heritage plants, a lot of southern heritage plants in this yard. This is one. This is a camellia. It came from my great aunt, actually, and I have a lot of such plants in this yard. I have an iris, an amaryllis. I have all kind of trees. Well, about 5 years ago maybe, we replaced the bulkhead out front, and John took the wood and recycled it and made these leg beds out of them. And it is the best thing he has done with this garden by far, and there's lots of really good things that he's done, but I can just walk right up here. I can plant, I can weed, I can harvest without ever bending over, and they like it. I like my feet on the ground, and I like my hands in the soil. Anybody can do this. But when you do it, it opens up a whole other world that maybe you didn't even know existed. There really is a connection there. You never have to worry about what you're having for dinner. You just come out to the garden, and whatever's in that day, that's what you serve up that night. But it's more than that. Gardening at the water's edge puts you in good company with others who share the water's edge. We have a lot of wildlife around here, and it's all beautiful. Oftentimes out here, we've had manatee come up into our little cove. Porpoises, they're regular showgoers. All manner of birds flock through here. We have marsh hens, which are like ducks. We have the roseated spoonbills, and people often mistake them for flamingos because they're so pink and so beautiful. But that's what they are. We've seen shrimp skimming along the surface of the water. We've seen Florida lobster go out with the low tide. It's just, there's a myriad of wildlife out there in the ocean. You know, what we have right here is a little estuary. It's a nursery, really, that we have in these salt marshes. And all manner of little fish and little things grow up and go out there in the big out, as we call it, the big out. Yeah, you get to share life with a lot of sea animals, seabirds. It's a good thing. Yes, that would be a pleasure for anyone to come and share this garden. To take from it whatever it is that appeals to you. And what I really hope is that you put into it and take it beyond what it already is.